You know what's crazy about Mateusz Gamrot is that he's actually such a popular fighter in Europe. One of the first videos we ever got like over 1,000 views on this channel was the Mateusz, his original fight against I think it was Guram Kutateladze. Want to say that was the fight. That was an absolute banger of a fight. The little things that I took away from him, landing only 5 of 16 takedowns, things like that. Don't be overcommitted to one style, because at the end of the day, when the fight's that close, it could probably go the other way. Yeah, I think both guys fought an amazing fight, but when you look at what Gamrot did in that fight, I mean, it was close, right? But he just didn't do enough successful things to kind of overturn the judges' minds. When you look at the way Guram kind of defends those takedowns, but then also uses his strikes. The guy's a wild man. He's such a good wild man. Him and Roman Dolidze just have this, I know they're probably boys, but they just have such a weird, similar style. And I just like the way Guram fights because he's at least got the cardio on his side. I think that, from him, we just talked about it, but that's an activity-based lack of energy, right? And that's okay, because he's doing everything he can to win the fight for the first 2 rounds. And the way I like this fight is when you look at Scott Holtzman, I think he's just so underrated, right? Pull off a really nice victory against Jim Miller, and then Beneil Dariush has just been laying bodies out right, left, and center, and kind of taking names. And Scott Holtzman fell victim to that. I mean, it seems like everybody kind of does at some point right now if you face him. So I can't really hold much against him there. I think he did really good against a title challenger, and he's on his way up. And I think in this fight, when you look at a guy like, Beneil Dariush, Nick Lentz, Josh Emmett, Drew Dauber, like these losses are very, very credible. Like these are all guys. Josh Emmett was a potential title challenger if he didn't have, the ACL type of issues. And I think that when you look at even Drew Dauber, outside of kind of that one-dimensional Muay Thai style, he had a really good chance of kind of taking the next step in his career with his previous fight against Islam Makhachev. So when you're kind of thinking about and funny story, right? There's that big story of Drew Dauber going back into camp with Justin Gaethje, and Justin kind of looked at him and be like, yeah, right, those guys. And Drew Dauber's like, yeah, for sure. It's overpowering Dagestani wrestling, man. They just have really, really good distribution of weight and understand where you're going to be at every turn. And in this case, Scott's going up against guys who are now taking on the best of the best. And I think in this fight, he does have, a little bit of a, I guess, dark horse underdog vibe to him, because Mateusz is getting all the credit right now, coming in at a -250 favorite at this point. Getting Scott Holtzman a +200. The guy who just beat Jim Miller. I mean, Jim Miller's obviously getting kind of old, but at the same time, he's so active now. I thought he looked fairly good, and win or lose, he looked great in 2020. And when you look at what Scott Holtzman did pull off, the guy looks always in great shape. I don't see much of a size difference here. I think that Gamrot has, good experience out in Europe, and I think that he showed a lot of versatility against Guram Kutateladze. But at the same time, Scott Holtzman's been in there with some absolute beasts. And to be coming in at a +200 dog, something tells me that there's just a slight chance that one is one of the ones that could go the other way. But, I really like what Gamrot brings to the table, but I also like some of the dog in Scott Holtzman. So, I don't think the lines could be any better to kind of make this fight a little extra exciting. But, anything can happen. Anyone can win. And I think that in this one, look out for Mateusz, because he's definitely hungry for that first win. But don't sleep on Scott, because Scott's proven himself time and time again that he can hang with the best in there.